All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Public hearing. I'd like to start the public hearing with the Pledge of Allegiance, if we could. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, so during the process, I'm going to ask that everybody mute. If I'm getting a lot of feedback, I'll probably mute you automatically, just so we don't have a lot of noise in the background. So public hearing online, we're in a little bit of a new normal right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the process here like we would a normal meeting, except that we are online. The minutes that Mary is taking now, even though this is being recorded, the minutes as voted by the planning board will be the effect of this meeting. And at this point, there's no further planning board business that will be conducted after the meeting. So the format we're going to have, we'll open up the meeting. And then what I will ask is that Bob Curran and Frank can speak on behalf of the bylaw change that's being requested. And then I'll open it up for the board to ask any questions that they may have regarding that. After the board has had some questions and some discussion, a little bit of dialogue, I will open it up to the public. If there's any public that's going to be speaking on behalf of this bylaw change. What I will ask is when anybody talks, just to identify yourself, just so that the recording aspect of this will be able to carry that and understand who's talking, particularly if it's a person in the public who's not a board member or a town employee. Just so that we know who you are and where you live. So give your address. We will hear everybody. Once we have heard all of the public questions and comments, we'll close it to the public and then we'll deliberate, or we can ask any other questions that we may have. It's a bylaw change, so I don't think it's going to take multiple meetings. I believe this will be fairly quick. We do have no real time limit, but as anybody else, I don't want to be here at 10 o'clock trying to iron this out tonight either. So when we do, we vote on it. And once we're done with the vote, what ends up happening is it goes to the selectmen so that they can put it on the warrant for the next town meeting so that the town can vote on it. So what we're doing here is we're getting it on the warrant is the action that this board is moving forward to. So at this stage, I would like to open up the floor to Bob Curran, if you want to present it, or are you going to present this, Frank? Oh, you're on mute, Frank. Okay. You would think we'd get used to that by now, right?
I know.
Sorry.
Eric, if I may.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, as you all know, the town of Whitman qualifies for flood insurance under the FEMA maps that we have for the town of Whitman. There's a total of 8. 2 of the maps were changed, and we don't really have a choice on that. One of the maps, map number 184, doesn't have floodplain in it anyway, so it's not really effective. And it does include 2 of the surrounding towns. Actually, that's 3 surrounding towns. So map number 184 has no effect in Whitman. Map number 181 has very minor changes. In fact, I can't identify them by looking at the 2 different panels. I sent out an email to Department of Conservation and Recreation, who we've been working with, to come up with this new floodplain regulation. He had said to us that there were very minor changes, and the only way to tell is to look right at the floodplain and right at the maps themselves. And like I said, I can't tell the difference. So we had to come up with a new floodplain bylaw to replace the existing. We also had to blend it into the Watershed Protection District. So that's something I worked for a couple of months to do. It went to town council and then again forwarded to DCR for their approval. And I think Frank has looked at it and he's approving of it all. Him himself has looked over it and gone over everything and has no issues with it. The bylaw has changed substantially because now it includes definitions and it blends in the language that FEMA requires to qualify. If we do not accept this bylaw, the residents of Whitman will not be eligible for flood insurance. So that's where we're at. The effective date on the two maps that are changed is July 22nd, 2020.
Okay. And with all of things going on, they wouldn't postpone that deadline.
They would not.
They would
The federal government was absolute in its unwillingness to extend any deadlines as they relate to flood map zoning.
Okay.
The state, on the other hand, has proposed legislation that would allow the town to bypass the normal process for approving the bylaw by allowing the Board of Selectmen to do so. But that legislation has been hung up in committee for 3 weeks now. And I get it. They really don't want to take away any rights individuals have to vote on things. So it makes it a little challenging. But I will tell you, this bylaw is on the warrant I presented to the selectmen tonight. And assuming you folks vote positively, it will be posted tomorrow.
Okay. All right, excellent. I'm going to go to any board members that may have any questions or comments. I'll start with Sheila.
I had to unmute myself and I was fumbling.
Okay.
No, I do not have any questions or comments at this time. I've read all the documentation. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Elaine, how about you?
No questions or comments. It's necessary.
Okay. Lonnie?
None.
Adam, how about you?
I'm in the same boat. I'm all good. I read it over. I had no questions.
Okay.
It has to be done. So.
I
Okay.
like the water reference.
So, I mean, this only costs us the paperwork to push this forward. This really isn't costing the town any substantial money other than any legal reviews we have for the language of the bylaw. So it's a pretty straightforward understanding of if we want to be covered, we need to push this forward. I would like to, in the event that town meeting does get pushed out further, hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we start getting back to a little bit of normalcy. I would have liked to at least heard that the state would allow any pending decisions that would be going before a town would be at least considered for coverage in the event that it doesn't get passed in time for FEMA, but
Unfortunately, the state has no voice in that, Eric.
yeah,
It is a federal
federal.
regulation.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
the feds have, for whatever reason, been inflexible on this issue. Probably because the same maps we're voting on are affecting 12 or 13 other states.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess they don't want to open the floodgates.
Okay.
Another water reference.
Yeah, I know. No pun intended, right? Pun intended. Okay. I don't have any other questions, so it sounds like nobody from the board. I'll go once more through. If anybody does have a question, raise your hand. Okay. Is there anyone from the public that is on? I saw James Chandler on there earlier. It does not appear that we have anybody else here that is from the public to talk on behalf of this or question what we're doing here. Okay, usually we have somebody who's going to have some question or comment, but this is new. So with that, I will say that we can close the public portion of this meeting. And then this board can then determine if they want to vote to approve the language as written for the bylaw update. Anybody?
Darn, unmute button. I'll move to make that motion to approve the bylaws as rewritten.
Okay, motion's been made by Sheila. Do I
I'll
hear a
second
second?
it, this is Elaine.
Okay, seconded by Elaine. Any further discussion? Questions, comments, considerations? Okay,
Nope.
so I'm going to do a roll call as we do the vote. I will call your name. You tell me your vote in the affirmative or negative. I'll start with Sheila.
I approve. Yes.
Affirmative for Sheila. Elaine.
Yes.
Affirmative for Elaine. Ilani.
Yes.
Affirmative for Ilani. Adam.
Yes.
Affirmative for Adam, and myself, affirmative. So it's unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that was probably the quickest meeting, this public hearing that any board in town has ever had. It's great when I have a mute button, but no. No, I didn't silence anybody, don't worry. All right, so with that, we're passing that this goes before the bylaw review to be put on the warrant for amendment to the bylaw.
So what'll happen now is the bylaw will be placed before town meeting. And once approved, we will notify the state, but the bylaw will also be sent to the Attorney General for review.
Mhm.
And which is true of any bylaw we do. And hopefully the action of town meeting will be sufficient to put us in compliance with the federal floodplain
Yeah.
regulations.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. I don't see any pushback on this, but I mean, we have
Well,
had things
you
go
had to have
before
a-
the Attorney General that have been questioned, but
Yeah, you had to have a really big magnifying glass to look at those maps.
well, we can check that box then. We got it done. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So with that, I will close out this meeting. I need to hear a motion to adjourn. Lonnie?
So
Lonnie?
moved.
Lonnie has made a motion to adjourn this meeting. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Adam. All those in favor? Sheila, I gotta go around
In favor.
in favor. Lonnie,
In favor.
Elaine,
In favor.
and Adam.
In favor.
Thank you very much, everybody. Mary, thank you for putting up with us. It took us longer to get you online than we had to have the meeting. So we got to work on your computer. We'll talk to Frank about that.
We'll take up a collection.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Okay.
Stay
Aye.
safe,
Yeah.
everyone. Have a good night.
You too.